Hello friends, neighbors, John, your neighbor here, and welcome down to the Nook. It's Saturday, and let's shoot some single malt. But today I want to talk to you about single malt from Wales. So I've got two expressions from Madeira. The first one here is part of their Dragon series. You know, it's the national flag of Wales. And this one is Myth. And then I'll go over to, I guess, what's part of their Gold series. I've only seen each of these. I haven't seen others in the Dragon or others in the Gold release, but I guess, you know, when I do a little homework on this, there are other releases. This one is Madeira finish. So if you have any single malt or whiskey from Wales, why don't you pour some of that? If you have either of these, even better. We'll start with Myth, we'll go over to Madeira finish, we'll see where it takes us.
3, 4.
Well, thanks for coming back. As I said in the opener, we're going over to Wales. We're looking at their single malt. This is part of the Dragon series. This particular one from Penderyn is called Myth. Reading online, the bottle, I've got conflicting information. Right now in front of me, I have a whiskey that is 41% ABV, yet natural color and non-chill filter, ex-bourbon, and the website says rejuvenated oak, which I'm thinking is like that STR cast we're seeing a lot more of. So I appreciate that right on the bottle it says natural color. Non-chill filtered at 41 is rare. I've seen it at 40. But usually, you know, we have to punch into the 46 to keep it from clouding up on us. So I like it that it's natural color and non-chill filter. And it's not coming across in the camera, but the color is actually kind of a nice, I don't know if it's the impression of the red dragon, but it's got almost a little bit of a red hue to it, which I think is pretty cool. Let's get into the whiskey itself. So this is Penderyn Myth on the nose. It's a very fruity nose for me. Lots of cut orchard, but more than that, like maybe pushing into tropical fruits. Yeah, tropical might be too much, but a very expressive fruit, sweet fruit cup type. You know, we got the peeled grape, you got the cut, whatever else is going on in there, maybe a little bit of pear. No, pear for sure. I mean peach, a little bit of peach. Yeah, a little bit of cut, sweet peach syrup. That's more. Canned peaches, that's better than all of those things before. Like some nice canned peaches. And then a little bit of malt sugars and a little bit of oak in the nose. Let's go in on the palate. Sláinte, forgot to check with my friend from Wales how to cheer. I apologize. Cheers, Sláinte. And that's a fairly nice interplay of a fruit-forward, sweeter whiskey with definitely some more oak. Like that rejuvenated oak is bringing a little bit of nice vanillas, a little bit of toffee, but some tannins, right? Some of that structure, that oakiness. Better turn another sip. Cheers. I think I would add to that when I talk about that oak structure, some of the other secondary oak nature, a little bit of cinnamons, a little bit of graham cracker, a little bit of wheatness. You know, it's not grain, but it's got some of that significant oak with, from the nose, what is a pretty sweet core spirit. I think it's playing it well. It took me a little while. We're going to get into that more with this bottle, but it took me a while to get to know this Penderyn. It's definitely the second one that I've had over a few years. I don't think I've reviewed it with you guys before. This time around, natural color, non-chill filtered, with this taste profile, I'm actually quite liking this. Like it's, 3 3/4 if I'm being critical. But I'm enjoying it. Like it's a nice pour. I appreciate it. There's a little bit of bitterness in there that comes up. It's not like wildly amazing, luscious whiskey, but it's well presented. It's priced decent, and I think the flavors would appeal to many people. So if you like sweeter single malt, but you like a little oak, you know what? It kind of reminds me, and just now in the moment, kind of reminds me of Glenfiddich, the 14-year-old, where they put it back in oak or ex-bourbon, and it just really brings more oak into what is a pretty classic cut orchard fruit style. This is kind of similar. Yep, I would say that's a good comparison in my mind. Anyways, that's my thoughts on Penderyn Myth. So coming over to another that I have in their expression, this is Penderyn, the Madeira finish. It's part of their gold series, and the bottle is a significant step up. It looks classier, it's presented classier, so it's obviously in a range that they're trying to indicate this is maybe a one-up kind of thing. This particular one, as I mentioned, is ex-bourbon and ex-Madeira. It's 46%, and on the label it says non-chill filtered. Now on the label it doesn't say non-colored, which is interesting. It is definitely a lighter color than the Myth, so I see no reason why they would have added coloring in here, but they don't say it on the label, and if you don't say it on the label or on the website, then I assume somehow they've added some color in here, which is interesting. Now I should say both of these are non-age stamped, so I have no idea. They could have, some older, some younger, and they're just going for a taste profile. That's, of course, what they're doing. But I can't tell you what the age of the whiskey is. Again, there's something on this bottle. There's no way that's coming off on the camera. I guess I could try. And I also didn't ask anybody from Wales to translate that for me, and I should have. It's very interesting. So I love the bottle. I love that it's 46%. Madeira being a Portuguese wine, is a fortified wine. We'll see how it is on the nose and palate. This is Penderyn Madeira. Quite a different nose. Yeah, where this is full fruit, little canned peaches. This is a little more lemon, a little more already white grape. That's what I'm going to get off this. That's what I'm getting off this. Absolutely. Like it's just in that range, that little bit slightly tart, slightly sour. Yes, lots of fruit, but a little bit of lemon, a little bit in that direction. And it's missing the oak structure that I was getting from here already on the nose. Let's try it on the palate. Sancha, cheers. This is a bolder single malt. It definitely has more spicing going on in the palate. It's also, 46 versus 41, and I think my palate feels that alcohol presence. It doesn't have the roundness of the fruit over here or the oak. And so what's really speaking to me is I'm assuming the Madeira finish, the way they've put together Madeira or the Madeira cask they chose, it's very light, dry, wine forward in the palate. Better try another sip. Cheers. That sip actually was a little cleaner. The first one had a little more spicing, a little more presence, and I think maybe my palate needed to acclimatize to the difference. Well, now on the finish, those spices, those pepperings, that heat comes back. The essential flavor of this, and I try to experience it right now in the moment, and I'm trying right now. I have struggled with this bottle. Not how it looks, not how it's presented. This is fantastic, and I even got it on a really good offer, so I can't talk about price. Price was matched for the work that went into this whiskey. I find it quite drying, quite white wine. There is a little bit of sweetness, but it plays into bitterness pretty quick. I don't know. I'm struggling with this one. Actually, I've had this open. You can't tell by for at least half a year. I've really been just taking little sips, trying it in different locations, times of day, locations, sorry, I'm suddenly distracted. I'm trying it over here under the stairs. I'm trying it here upstairs. No, that's not what I mean. I think sometimes whiskey needs context to really come alive. And that could be pairing with food or at a certain part of the day when you're looking for a more reflective dram or when you're looking for an after dinner dram, that kind of, like, there's context in whiskey for sure. For this one, it has improved when I've really said, okay, so this to me is what I'm getting. Does it do a nice drying, not very sweet, a little bit spicy, and kind of that white wine palate, like that just that. Does it do that well? And I think if that's what you like in whiskey, I think it does do it fairly well. It is a good whiskey. For my palate, it just hasn't resonated. It hasn't been. I haven't found the time when I'm like, oh, I'd like some of that Penderyn Madeira cask. So I feel bad for this. I always do feel bad when a whiskey doesn't connect with me because it's just my palate. But this one doesn't connect with me critically because I just would want more mouthfeel, or I would want a few more other flavors in there, a little bit more vanilla, a little bit more. It's got edges of almond, so maybe a little more toasted, like maybe with some toasted oak. I don't know. It's just my palate. But for me, like even though it's meant to be and it's presented and you pay more than this myth, 3.5 star, 3.25. Like it just doesn't hit for me. And every day of the week I would pour. I mean, I would pour the myth. It just hits my palate the right way over the Madeira. Is this a class for bottle? For sure. Is it 40% instead of 41? Yeah, those are good things. But it just doesn't land. Man, I always feel bad giving that kind of news. But it's just me. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Have you had other in the Gold Series? I see they've got a peated one. I'm willing to try that. It's still good whiskey. Like I'm willing to keep trying different Penderyns, but that one didn't hit. Anyways, tell me what you think. Thanks for joining me. Hope you guys are having a good weekend.